Hey guys, welcome back to the Codebug YouTube channel. I am Siddharth Kumar and you're here to learn Java. So far we've learned so many integer operations, math function, how to implement the basic syntax of Java, and now we're heading up towards the string thing. That is, what's a string? First of all, string is a collection of characters. That is, if we have to take a single character as an input from the user, then we will have to determine we will have to set its data type as char, char c equals to, and whatever the input may be from the user will input and the data will be stored in the character variable c. So to input a full word and the full paragraph or a full string, we will have to import a class buffer reader. Make a class, import a class io, and make object of another class buffer reader to do all the input and output statements, named as, the class's name is buffer reader. This class is used as an object to anywhere where the input is needed from the user. This class is the object of this class is made in the current class, and then its functions are used for input and output operation. Now, to manipulate the input and output operations, like to manipulate a string, we need to know some basic information, like what is indexing and what is length. Now, what is length? Length is the consistency of number of characters. Now, what are the number of characters in this string? String S number of characters are 8, so its length is 8. Now, what is indexing? Indexing is the position of those characters in a string. Now, if this string begins with S and ends on H, now what is the position? S has the position of 0, so its index is 0. Indexing goes from 0 to 7, but the length is 8. So we always if we want the compiler to read the word, we make a loop. We take a for loop and we set the for loop from indexing 0 to indexing less than length, that is less than 8, which is 1 less than 8 is 7. So the compiler automatically takes 0 to 7 and reads the whole word and does the processing. What's a for loop, guys? So for this implication, I'll take a small example. A for loop is a iterative statement that is used whenever a process is to be repeated, whenever a task is to be done repeatedly, whenever a process is to be executed repeatedly. For example, if we want to print hello 8 times on the output window, horizontally or vertically, this for loop can be implemented for 8 times. For I equals to 0, I is less than equals to 8, I plus plus, and in its bracket we can specify the task. For 8 times we run the for loop and we can specify the task between the code blocks. So what are tasks? To print the hello. So this function will print this thing will print the hello word on your output window 8 times. Now, horizontally or vertically, that depends on the function you use. System.println. Now, println will print the hello like this vertically. Print the word hello like this vertically. But if you remove the ln from the word, then it will print the word as horizontally 8 times. This is the main difference. So as you wish, you can use the function. Now we are heading towards some more functions. This is length function. In order to calculate the length of any string, this function is used. S.length. Just specify the variable in which the string is stored, and dot length, apply the dot length function, length function as dot length, and it will call the function from that string class and use it to calculate the data, length of the data. So character dot is uppercase. This checks whether the inputted letter is uppercase or not, or whether it is capital or not. Character dot is lowercase. This checks whether the input character is small or not. This checks whether the inputted character is digit or not. This checks whether the inputted character is a letter or a digit. So these all are Boolean functions. Boolean means either a true or a false. If the condition states true, then it will return true, else they will return false. Now s1 dot equals s2. What does this function do? This function checks the equality among two strings. If suppose a string is stored in s1 and another string is stored in s2, then it will check that if both the strings are equal, then it will return true, else false. Now this consists of some problem. What is the problem? Is that if s1 consists of a string in small letters, then s2 consists of the same string in capital letters, this function will still return false. This will declare it as not equal, because Java is a case sensitive language, and this function checks the case sensitivity also. Now to ignore the case, we use the s1 dot equals ignore case s2 function. Now s1 dot equals ignore case s2 function, what it does is it ignore the case sensitivity of Java and compares both the string and declares them as true or false. Now s dot ends with, what does this function do? This function checks the ending value of any string and checks whether the ending value is matchable with this character in the bracket or not. Suppose here I've written s dot ends with e. Now in the string stored in s ends with h, but this checks with e. This function is checking with e. Now it's automatically declaring it as false because it doesn't end with e. Now s dot start with a. This function checks the starting value of any string to the inputted character. Here's one more function, index of. A. Now what will this function do? This function will tell the index of any character that you input within the brackets. Now if you just implement, this is a separate function, index of. Now if you just implement last index of, then it will tell the last occurrence of the inputted character within the brackets. And if you just input first index of, then it will tell you the first occurrence of the character in the string. Suppose there are two a's in a string. In the string Siddharth, there are two a's. First before r and the second one after r. Then it will take the first index of, that is the first a, and tell its index 0 1 2 3 4. Then the index is 4. So these are some functions that are ought to be known when we are in case of handling the string thing. So that's all for today. Now in the forthcoming tutorial we'll be implementing these functions in a string program. Thank you.